Everything's growing way too fast. Now that the Saharan dust has left the area and been replaced by the rains, everything is just exploding with growth. As you can probably tell with this blue Java banana right here, it's got a pup way past where I should have already dug it out to propagate it. Anyways, welcome back to the channel, you guys. Rain coming has just been insane, starting to really kick off, and it really has made this blue Java explode to the point that I think we might actually be getting fruit off it later this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe, we'll see. But one that is actually getting fruit already is the papaya right here. If you guys watch our shorts on YouTube, you probably saw when we came out with it the other day, but I'll show you this right here. We're actually getting papaya on our papaya. Every single papaya plant we have has them on it, and I'll tell you guys, it's absolutely amazing the way these things smell. It's like unlike anything I've ever smelled before. I'd say similar to citrus, but better. Anyways, we got sugarcane has been coming back as well. That's a really nice one to see right here. It's been coming up. I'm not sure on the variety of this one. I can't remember. It was a piece that I had cut up and just chucked into the ground from somebody else's property, and now it's there. So there we go. Cool things all coming back through, starting to really grow. This is why I don't wear normal clothes most of the time. I sweat like crazy down here in Florida being outside. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea today. Felt cooler. Anyways, this is Roselle hibiscus. This one's been growing in like crazy now too, and I'm really excited about this one because I didn't have the plant last year at a point where I felt like I could use it for any type of culinary reasons, but this year I do. It's got the little buds starting to form on it. They're starting to come out, and this one I'm gonna be really having a lot of fun with making things like tea out of through the rest of the summer. Anyways, this one's just exploding like crazy, coming back from all the seed pods that dropped throughout last fall and winter. Very excited to have this. I'll show you some other stuff. The blue Java is honestly my favorite banana that we have here on the property, but this one behind, right next to me, is called the Namwa, your ladyfinger, pisang awak, and I think it goes by a few other names as well. Anyways, I have to mention this one because yesterday I actually had one of my neighbors stop by the property. Kind of caught me off guard because all of a sudden there's just some guy walking onto the property, and older guy told me he's building a house around here, and he's, you know, driving by, checking on the house and stuff a lot, notices our property and really likes our bananas, especially this one, and wanted to get some information on it. And so, you know, I gave him a tour of the property and everything, and it seems like a lot of the neighbors have also mentioned really liking this one. So I thought I'd show this one off to you guys as well, because it's growing quite a bit as well. I've been able to take some pups off it, and it's got more coming as well. This one is really one of the best tasting bananas that I've ever had. I'm very excited to have it fruit. I've been able to try it down here in Florida before I got one, and that's why I had to get one, because it was like having a banana for the very first time. I told the neighbor about all of this stuff, and he was very set on he wants one of these as well after hearing about it and seeing it. He just loves the way it looks, and you know, it's kind of cool for me having the neighbors come by and wanting to check out what we're doing and seeming like they like what we do and asking questions and stuff. I'm a little more private person, usually like my space, but you know, the neighbors coming over and asking it's different, and it's kind of cool, and I'm taking it as a compliment. Honestly, a huge one.
Thank you.
Pretty good feeling. Anyways, one of the cool things that gets to grow here, but now it's probably honestly time to talk about some of the stuff that's been growing that hasn't been the greatest. We'll get to that in a second. We got to start with pest control. Come on over here. This area right here has been a massive problem for us when we first got the property, because of the fact that down underneath the window we had black widows just kind of infesting this area, and we've had that issue kind of all over the house. That's been one of our massive pest issues. We've had squirrels, but black widows are definitely one of our bigger issues that we've had. And so as everything's been growing in some areas, I've been clearing them out and getting them ready for other stuff, and these basil are some of those that I've cleared out of one spot and brought over here as things have been taken off. Because I've had rosemary pop up in here, I thought the garlic had all died back and been done, but it's been popping up and looks like it reseeded itself in this bed. And having all of these herbs here has really kept all of the widows away from this spot. We still have widows pop up all over the house, every single spot on the house except right here. And so that's one of the things that we're really going to focus on going forward, while everything's really growing, is trying to get more herbs around the house to get control of the widow, that infestation that we seem to have. So it's getting really annoying clearing out the garage about once a month and trying to get everything out of there so I can go hunt them down. So the herbs definitely a lot quicker, easier way to manage. The area I'm standing in is where I grabbed the basil from. Now this is probably the actually not probably, it is the biggest bed in our kitchen garden area. And I tried growing a bunch of sunflowers in it this season, and now we've cut them all down and we're growing other stuff in it right now, which so far I've been able to plant in some corn, which we have a blue Hopi variety. We have a couple different types of pumpkin, I believe 3 different varieties, and then black and pinto beans. Now, we're gonna go ahead and fill this out, try and get some of that growing for the year. I don't know how well this is gonna work. I'm not used to Florida, and so this whole idea of looking it up, it looks like you can grow corn between like August to April in Florida, and that just seems weird to me coming out of, like, a lot of my growing experience was out in Utah growing up through high school and stuff, and you don't grow anything in winter. So this is going to be an interesting one to see how it does. The sage over here hasn't been doing that good through the heat. It is starting to bounce back, and so I want to come in through here and fill it out. I have a lot more sage, or seeds for sage, and so I want to come in and fill this strip out in between the 2 rose bushes and really get this popping off. I only planted it a couple days ago though, with all the seeds in here, and already the corn, the pumpkin, all the beans, they're all starting to pop up. It's just insane how fast everything is coming. And the soil conditions have really improved throughout the summer on a lot of these beds, and then on top of it, the amount of rain that we've been getting lately is just a tremendous help. So this is one of the first beds. I'll show you some of the peppers over here along with the tomato bed. Actually, let's start with tomatoes because that's been in the news recently, and I'll talk about why. One of our other beds that was just full of sunflowers and is finally getting turned over was this one right here that I've switched over to tomatoes and lettuce, even though apparently it might be a little too not the right time of the year. My thinking here is I've seen recently in the news that we've got another item coming up for a food shortage, and you guessed it, it's tomatoes. Between me and my wife, there's a lot of Greek, Spaniard, and Italian blood in the family, and being so heavily Mediterranean, we just cannot have no tomatoes that we can get. Everything's already getting crazy expensive. We're already cutting back and budgeting like crazy on our food bill, like I'm sure everybody else is. That's why we got this property, really, was to be able to grow as much as we needed to not have to worry about the food shortages. So again, one more food shortage coming up. Looks like it's good timing to start swapping everything over into tomatoes. I just planted this one, I think about 2 days ago, so nothing's popping up on here yet, but hopefully soon we'll be able to get it going because we got to fix that. You can't have no tomatoes. One of the things that's really helping though has been the mulch piles over here. Mulch, food pile, whatever you want to call it. Basically, all I'm doing is I'm cutting up my grass on the 1 acre we have because it was just grass when we got here. I don't really like the grass, but it does serve a purpose in the fact that I can use it to cook off and then layer over the top of the beds to mix or to lay over and keep everything nice and moist, well fertilized, everything like that. So basically the beds are pretty much just grass fed. Now that I've got the sunflowers have gone through, I cut them down to leave the roots in and kind of mixed up the old straw, and now it's just the grass going on top of it. So I'll have Olivia roll some B-roll footage so you can see, but you know, we've got the piles of grass. I've got one pile that's completely cooked off that I'm using right now to lay on top of whatever bed I'm working on. Now over here, I've got this bed that is the one that I've been adding to, where things are still cooking off a little bit, not quite done, and once it is, we'll start moving it over and getting it ready to use. And so that's been a really nice touch, getting all this grass ready to go for the beds. A lot of organic matter. This last bed that I've been able to get to so far is our pepper bed. Now, some of the other beds are still kind of going wild, and I need to get in there and clean them up, and it's one of the things that I'm working on at the moment. Like everything though, it always seems like I'm trying to play catch up with other things while I'm drowning in another. One of the issues that seems to be I'm learning as a gardener at this extent is that I'm constantly having to plan about 6 months, even a year, sometimes multiple years ahead, while also dealing with the, oh no, I've got a problem I have to deal with right away today, and I have to figure out how to fit that into my schedule, and it really is very complicated sometimes. That's why we keep talking about adapt, overcome, and improvise. You know, this bed was one of those prime examples. I thought I placed this one out nicely in the beginning of the year, put in a whole bunch of seeds and peppers and onions and other things, and they did not do good. Not at all, until all of a sudden very recently. You can see now we have peppers and stuff popping up that I seeded back in like April, and it's the same thing with the onions. A lot of the stuff in here has started popping up that I thought was completely dead. I was getting ready to turn this bed over into something new, and so I guess that'll be a lesson for next year, is that when we do peppers, I need to do them later in the year rather than as early as I may be used to from where I've lived before now that we're in Florida. Anyways, there's a lot of lessons to go in with everything that we're doing, and everything growing like crazy is definitely a hard one to keep up with. Keeping up with the weeds in these beds has been a challenge for sure. The weeding down here in Florida is like unlike anything I've ever seen before. As nice as it is having the rains that come through and pop up all these bananas and papaya and everything else so crazy, it does bring the bad things along with it, like the heavy amount of weeding that I have to keep up with. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, do hit the like button. We appreciate it as always for all of those of you who do. Don't forget to subscribe, turn notifications on, wait for car. As always, catch you next time. Molnar out.